Hey everyone, welcome to a guide on how to do the new DLC fight Eternal Bloom on solo hard. This is the way of playing the game that I'm most comfortable with, and I think I have some useful tips and tricks here for how to read and dodge the attacks. I'll also be uploading a video where I go through some of the uptime strategies where you can maintain better uptime, better cooldown management, as well as some build recommendations for each class. I've now done this fight on every character with the exception of the Bruiser and Druid rabbits, who I don't play very much. That being said, this fight is very difficult. I would say it's probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest fight in the DLC to really get your head around with all the butterfly mechanics and being able to meet the DPS check that's pretty tough without a lot of AoE. So if you've been having trouble with it, hopefully this video can help out, and let me know if you want me to do more of these in the future. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so to start off, just so you know, the arena's gonna look a little bit different because of the fact that I'm using a mod to be able to enter the fight from the beginning. But what we're gonna have first are these butterflies spawning on the Intercardinal. So when I say Intercardinals, I mean in between northeast, south, and west. So yeah, a butterfly's gonna spawn on each Intercardinal. It's always gonna be the same pattern. They're gonna all lock onto you, and there's a couple different ways to do this depending on what class you're playing and how much uptime you want. But for Heavy Blade, you can hit all 5 targets from the middle, so you can't hit the boss during this, of course, so 4 targets really. So we're just gonna try to stay in the middle as much as we can. So the way to do this that I found the easiest is to just start in the middle, have the butterflies target you. As soon as they turn red, run to either north or south. So run north, wait, go back to the middle. Run south, wait, go back to the middle. That's the whole thing. You could also do the opposite. You could start south, and then run north, and then run back south. It gives you a little bit more safety. In a lot of classes, you can't hit all the enemies when you're standing north and south. The next one, you're going to see this pattern show up. And there's a couple different ways it can go. But 1, 2, 3, and 4 can be anywhere. I got a very convenient pattern where 1 is across from 2. This is the pattern you want. But no matter what, you're going to have to go diagonal at some point. So this pattern, again, you're going to get tethered by all 4 butterflies, and you're basically going to resolve this the same way as you did before. You want to bait the butterflies towards one side and go to the other, but this time the butterflies are on cardinals. The way we're going to bait these butterflies is at the intercard that we take the in. So if we're starting at 1, we're going to bait the butterflies towards 1, and then immediately dodge towards 2. And then the butterflies will go off at 2, and we're immediately going to go center and then dodge to 3. The way to think about it is that you're always doing 3 actions here. You take the in, you go to the center, and then you go to your next spot. You just have to do this in a very fluid way. So I'll show what I mean here. You're going to start at where you need to be, go center, and then go to the next spot. Then go center, and go to the next spot. Then go center, then go to the next spot. And then go back to center. The important part about the butterflies for a lot of these mechanics is that because the butterflies are on cardinals, we want to try to bait them towards intercardinals and run around the intercardinals primarily. So the intercardinals in the center are what we're going to be recording in the mechanic. So again, I'll show another point of view for that and show it again because it could have been a different pattern. I might not have had to go right across the 2. But that will trivialize that mechanic, then you can just get some damage off on everything. This mechanic that is coming up third here, I think is the hardest mechanic in solo hard in its entirety. I think this mechanic is the most difficult. It's fast, and if you're taking damage here, I think this is a good mechanic to just really pay strong attention to on what's going on. The way it's going to work is that you're going to get tethered to 2 different orbs on the right-hand side, one on the north, one on the south. You're going to have to stretch those tethers, and butterflies in the north and south are going to hit you as well. To be honest, as Heavy Blade, my recommendation is to invuln through most of this, but it's, obviously you can't do it on every class. So for this, what we're going to do is remember the order is always tether, butterfly, tether, butterfly, tether, butterfly. So the best way to bait this is to go across from your tether. It's the only place you can go is directly across from it, and then try to immediately bait your butterfly towards the middle. There might be an easier way to bait the butterflies that I haven't experimented with, but in order to make it to your next tether spot, the best way to do it is to just go directly center. So for this, I'm going to go across my first tether. It's going to go off. I'm going to go center. I'm going to go across my second tether. It goes off. Go center. Across my third tether. It goes off. Go center. Across my fourth tether. Then you can use your defensive there at the end. Since I was a little bit slow, I also don't have any items and no movement speed boosting, and I obviously wasn't using any abilities. But that's the gist of it. There'll be some point of views where it goes a little bit better as well. But if you just pay attention to the cast bars, make sure you are watching the tethers correctly, make sure you know what order they're going off in, and if you just watch the cast bars, you know exactly what to do. it can either be, you're always going to be alternating sides as well. So you never have to take a tether north, go center, and go back to north. You take it north, go center, and you take it south. Keep in mind that after that, there's always one more butterfly that you just have. Of course, you can get up top. Next mechanic is also very difficult, and it's always going to be spawning in this exact pattern. There's always going to be 4 butterflies on intercards and AoEs on each of the cardinals. The reason this becomes so much more difficult than the very first mechanic, which is similar, is that for this one, you can't run to the cardinals as a safe spot. The way to do this, and this is probably the place where I most consistently take damage, we're going to want to bait the butterflies away from where we need to be. So you can see that here, 2 things are going to happen. You're either going to get this double tether that needs to be stretched, or we'll get 1 tether and a tether connecting you close. So for this example, since we got bar tethers, we're just going to do this first. The way I recommend doing this is to bait center in either slightly north or south, or to the side that you don't want to be on. So in this case, I want to stretch my tether up to the northeast. What I want to do is bait the tether slightly down here, or bait the butterfly slightly down here, which gives me a lot of room north to run. And you can actually rock these tethers up here and be safe. So to show this in action, I'm going to go slightly south, bait that, and then run up here. And then immediately you can go back to center. When you slow it down and pause, obviously, it doesn't seem as difficult, but with that strat, it's actually very consistent. I just do it north-south, you could also do it east-west technically, but I think that is the most consistent way to do it. Bait the butterflies just slightly away from where you want to go, and then go there. You can also bait it straight center, but the dodge back to center becomes more difficult if you do it that way. But if you have a defensive up or 2 defenses or something, or a special that erases projectiles, that is also a valuable option. So now from here, we're going to get the other pattern. We're going to get 1 tether that I need to stretch far, and 1 tether that's going to lock me in place. So this one's actually a little bit easier to resolve in my opinion. Since I can't leave the area I'm tethered to, I want to bait the butterflies away from it, and then stretch my tether towards it. So let's look at the pattern here. Butterflies lock on, we're going to dodge that of course again. And now we get this pattern. So during the second butterfly dodge, I need to now stay near the west side of the arena, because that's where I have this tether keeping me in place. But I need to stretch this tether down here. So this is telling me that I need to end up in this bottom right corner. So I'm going to do this the exact same way I just did. I'm going to bait them slightly north, and then run down to the bottom. And I'm going to run down here. It's the exact same thing, but instead of having to be far from both tethers, you have to be close to one of them. This one's a bit more punishing though, because if you accidentally take this tether too far, you'll get pulled in and therefore take damage. I recommend just popping a defensive for this one if you have it up. Immediately after that, go back to center. Nice. This is one of the last 2 final mechanics, and this one, in my opinion, is the easiest. All you're going to do is start, for me, what I do is start in the bottom right corner, and go in a clockwise circle as soon as the butterflies turn red. So, I start here, and as soon as the butterfly locks on, I start running. You can wait till it turns red, but to be honest, if you just go a second after it locks on, that's good enough. And you can basically just run in a circle. Yes. Saving your burst for this is also very useful as something. Now, for her last mechanic, before she leaves, she's going to basically be dodging some spinny AoEs that we've seen before, while the middle is unsafe. The difficult part about this mechanic is that, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure the guaranteed order of it. As you can see, there are 3 spins in the middle, and then 3 spins on the outside, and like most of these, you just need to be on the safe side. They also don't spin 180 degrees, they stop slightly short. So if you're on the wrong side, you can kind of just try to follow the line and still be safe. The thing I would look at first here is immediately try to find 1 and 2. Obviously those are the ones that are the most important, but from what I understand, there is no pattern to them. They can be basically anywhere. I've seen them be next to each other, I've seen them being across from each other, and I'm not entirely sure if that's accurate or not. But for the most part, this mechanic is pretty reactable. So I see 1 is on that side, and I'm going to stand immediately in the safe spot for it, and while standing in the safe spot, I'm going to be looking for 2 and 3, and then continue. Throughout this, you can get a lot of damage on butterflies, but 1 is safe from here, 2 is safe here, 3 is unsafe up here, 4 is unsafe not here, so again, you can see this doesn't go full. It only goes about 90 degrees to 6. So that's it. I know I didn't obviously demonstrate the last mechanic very well, but there'll be another video with me doing this on pretty much every class that I'm comfortable with, showing a couple different example builds that will work, as well as some uptime stuff if that's interesting. But for now, that is how you do Eternal Bloom without taking damage on solo hard. And yeah, good luck. I hope the butterflies don't make you die and become dirt.